Hey everyone, and welcome to the Diablo Herald. This is episode number 13. The Diablo Herald is a podcast where we talk about everything that relates to Diablo 3 and issues that affect us here in Australia and New Zealand. With me, as always, the faithful Highlander. How you going?
I'm good, yourself?
That's good. You can actually hear you now. That's good too.
Yes. Audio is good.
And Ziggy. How you going, Ziggy?
Oh, I'm going well, thanks, mate.
Cool. That's good. Um, there's a few topics we have to talk about this week. Not a huge list of topics. There's been a pretty big lull in interest in the game, which sucks, but that's just the way it is. Um, so I guess we'll start with the big letter from Mike Morhaime. Basically, if you haven't read it, it was pretty much just like a letter summing up the plans for the future, reassuring people that they are working on the game. What did you think of the letter, Highlander?
There wasn't much.
Yeah.
I found it actually pretty frustrating. It kind of just said, "Hey guys, stuff happened. Some things are good. Some things aren't so good. We're aware some things aren't so good.
We made a lot of
but
money.
we're gonna do some stuff to work on it." And yeah, that's kind of it. Like in some ways, it was kind of. I don't know. It was like as something where, considering the audience that it has, to put it out there in that way just seemed really just annoying. It had no news.
Yeah.
It had no details. It didn't have everything was really markety
Yeah.
based. So there's nothing frank about it. There's no reason why Mike Morhaime of all people is suddenly writing to us.
Hmm.
If I would have preferred something from Jay Wilson that was just a little bit more detail based.
It seemed kind of like letters to the shareholders kind of style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, when you're posting that on the Blizzard website or on the Battle.net page, where it's the same place where we get all the little blog updates when something new happens, the developers blog and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're so much more important than what this is, but it's from Mike Morhaime, so it should be more important.
Yeah.
But it just had nothing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was pretty disappointing. What about you, Ziggy? Did you have any other thoughts about it?
I thought it was interesting in a boring sort of way. It was interesting because we had no blue posts for days or weeks or something ridiculous,
Yep.
and then boring because it was just mainly intended to pique interest and get people through the dull period between actual news.
Yep.
So much of muchness, really.
Yep. Yeah, the only
Not
real
much going
thing
on.
that he sort of mentioned, I'm pretty sure he mentioned that they were adding some new legendary items or changing legendary items in 1.0.4. Do you guys remember that? Can you confirm
But
that?
that was
Yeah.
all stuff we already knew, though.
He
I thought,
did
but I thought
say
that wasn't happening till 1.1. The new legendary items.
Oh, okay. So they're bringing it back.
Yeah,
That's just like relabeling it, really.
yeah.
I
Well,
don't really.
yeah, but I mean, the sooner the better, I suppose.
he did say that would be having some stuff with legendaries that would do things that you didn't expect
Yeah.
or you might not expect.
Yeah.
So, like, and I saw a lot of comments that were kind of jaded, oh, right, so it'll be like reflex damage or like 5% chance to cast charge bolt or something, It's just like,
Double
5%
zero
chance.
increased attack speed bonus.
yeah, I don't know, right? But like, I hope that there's something that actually catches me a little bit by surprise. And there was a tweet or something I think I saw from Bashok that was saying that they're actually putting in some new mechanics that haven't existed before,
Okay.
and that they're actually spending some time coding to achieve as much.
Yeah.
I know that was in the Jay Wilson interview that happened in the last day or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, hopefully there's something there, but just reading the whole rest of that thing, like it just I really kind of have no faith that I'll actually be surprised.
It was all very nice, but yeah, not really anything
Yep.
substantial. Although it does give me a bit of a theory that they're actually doing quite a lot in the background, and they want to just save everything up for one patch instead of doing a couple of little patches and still having people be bored. Because if there's one real big news patch, that'll draw a heap of players back to the game that are sort of a little bit frustrated, at least for a little while.
Right.
They might
Make it
so
yeah.
yeah, instead of just doing like just legendaries and maybe doing some UI updates and then pacing them out, I think they're gonna. That's probably why we haven't heard anything from anyone for a while.
Yeah.
I think they might just be letting it, just like, okay, everyone's sort of bored at the moment. We'll just let them be bored for a little while longer. Just wait a little bit and then bang with
Yeah.
news. So
Yeah.
maybe, hopefully,
Make
hopefully
a big
that's what
deal
they're doing.
of it. Yeah.
Cool theory.
Hopefully it's not just nothing.
Yeah.
I hope my theory is right.
Well, we just have to wait and see, I guess. I mean, I have faith that eventually
Yeah,
it'll become
eventually.
a lot more of a fun game than it is now. So hopefully sooner rather than later, but we just have to wait and see, I guess.
I mean, one thing you've got to give them credit for is just the ongoing level of commitment that you've just always seen. And with Diablo 2, the revolutionary patch 1.1.0 coming out years after the last expansion.
Yeah.
With StarCraft, we're seeing the ongoing dedication that they've been showing there in terms of maintaining balance and stuff like that. And even in StarCraft, they've been ramping up their commitment to esports, and so this is not anything new. They haven't released anything. It's not in line with some sort of aligned sale of an item or a new product. It's just straight up they're doing more in that area. So we're seeing in a non-WoW space, we're still seeing commitment from them, which you've got to give them credit for, definitely in the past, and seems to be going on still. I mean, even the last patches that they were doing to Diablo 2, that was well after the Blizzard North team had gone as well. So, you can't put all of that on Blizzard North and people that are now working on Torchlight,
Yep.
It's the current understanding of Blizzard
Yep.
that have maintained this commitment. And for that, I continue to be hopeful.
Yep.
It's pretty hard to fault Blizzard overall. Like, I think people are pretty quick to jump to arms when they're disappointed in the way that Diablo 3 shipped. Jump to arms about hating Blizzard, but I think overall that they've done a really good job with keep supporting, and they're going to miss the mark occasionally. I think they missed the mark with the launch of Diablo 3, and that consistency and continuing support is what's going to make the difference in the long run.
Yep.
Compared to other games that might miss the mark on launch and then just fade into nothingness. I don't think Diablo 3 is going to fade into nothingness.
Yeah, definitely not. I definitely have faith that it'll end up becoming more than it is now. So I've got no doubt about that. Yep, go
I
ahead.
saw an interesting comment on Reddit today, which had one guy saying, as a result of Diablo, I will no longer blind purchase a Blizzard game. Which, it's very easy to say, you shouldn't be blind purchasing any game, but I know I was, right? And okay, sure, you should expect to get burnt if you're going to blind purchase games. But, I think that's interesting. I mean, Diablo 3 was the biggest selling game of all time, fastest selling game of all time, rather. Had the most pre-release sales and whatnot. So they're all blind sales. It'll be very interesting to see if they've, people will now just be a bit more cautious. You don't need to buy it in the first month or whatever.
Yep.
And, you can see, do they screw it up again? But no need to spend your money on that until the patches come out to get it right. Who knows? I just thought it was interesting.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of... it just sounds like one of those things that someone would say just because they can, It's easy to say things like that in hindsight.
Yeah, I get that, but it's I mean, I've been blind purchasing Blizzard games since Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Inclusive, and it's the dedication of those fans. It's people always have said Blizzard can do no wrong. Everything they do is always super polished, and can say what you will, but I do think that's been tarnished somewhat,
Yeah.
which sucks.
Mm. Definitely.
I'm still going to blind purchase any Blizzard game that's not an MMO.
Yeah.
I probably won't get Titan blind purchase. But, StarCraft or Diablo future releases, I will.
Yeah.
Well, that might be. We don't even know if that's going to be free to play or not. Might be free to play.
That would make sense.
I'd heard that.
Given the current market.
If any StarCraft or Diablo expansions aren't free to play, I'll be purchasing them blindly.
Oh no, the expansions. You'll have to pay for those. Guaranteed. No, it's just Titan.
Oh, right. Yep. I see. Cool.
Q.
So with that, let's go on to this list of endgame ideas. So this was on Reddit, the Diablo Reddit, and it was compiled by a user named Brave Target. Now he says in the post that they're not new ideas, they're ideas that have been discussed in the community previously. He just kind of put them all into one neat little post, and I thought we could talk about them. So basically just ideas to make the end game more interesting. So the first one is like an endless dungeon mode, and I kind of imagine that like Diablo 1 except with no floor, and it seems almost like a hardcore mode, like see how far you can get down into the dungeon. That'd be pretty cool.
In my opinion, it's a feature necessary to be competitive in the long run. Like, Torchlight 2 is going to have an endless dungeon mode, and I believe Path of Exile has its own sort of endless level thing going on where random maps are dropped and you can keep going through them. So that's all. Keeps things fresh there, but Diablo doesn't really have anything like that, so we definitely need that. I think that's something that we will realistically see in the future.
Yep.
I think the only question about it really should be whether it's efficient, whether it's an efficient place to be, or whether it's just a fun place to be. They might not want everything that everyone ever does is that one dungeon. They always tell us that they want us to explore the world and whatnot. So maybe it should be like typically an inefficient place to be, not a useless place to be, but definitely something that can be improved.
Or that like inefficient for the first 20 levels, but after that stuff starts to get really, really difficult, and you're having much high density of elites and things like that. And when you die, you get teleported back to the start. But if you can keep surviving, then that gets really, really efficient.
That's definitely a very cool touch. That's definitely very cool. I just I do think that they're going to want it to be a place that isn't the only place. Like, it's not the end game in and of itself entirely, completely. Who knows? But either way, like, even if it was the most efficient place and that's all everyone did, like, I still can't believe they haven't done it before now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It seems
like a minor problem.
It's something that they have, like it's already there in the game pretty much. They just need to basically turn it into a mode of play. They don't seem to have any of that sort of stuff. It's, I guess, a bit RP-ish in the way that you can't really go outside the quest, the linear quest.
I wonder if they'll do, instead of like an endless dungeon, just a free mode where you can jump around between whatever act and do whatever bosses you want and things like that.
Yeah, well, that's another idea, and that's actually in this list too. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
How smart am
I? So the second one is called defensive mode. Basically, I guess kind of like a Left 4 Dead sort of style, or like the Jar of Souls sort of style thing where you're defending an area and monsters come in and attack you. That'd be cool too. Thoughts on that?
I think we've mentioned this like ourselves like 8 times at least.
Yeah.
Like when we're playing hardcore on that, and Pat was saying that it's the perfect design of game for it, basically, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I don't really understand why they haven't put this kind of stuff in the game. Like, there must have been, obviously someone's made the decision at some point, because it's not like it's that difficult to put this sort of stuff in the game.
That really does seem like actual extra content to me. That's like having like challenge modes in a game, and if the rest of the game's not quite finished yet, then you're probably not really gonna be focusing on getting challenge modes in. So I'm not surprised that sort of thing's not in the game. But Endless Dungeon, I think, could have been in the game from launch, because it probably wouldn't have been too hard to do just with randomized tile sets and things. But
Yep.
yeah, it's definitely another option, like the endless mode, sort of in the same vein.
Yep. Anything else to add to that, Highlander? On that one?
No, do it.
Put it in the game. Ship it. Double it.
Yeah.
And then ship it.
I love that. I love that that's become a thing now.
Yeah. Number 3 is expand on crafting. That pretty much speaks for itself. Did you guys have any specific ideas on expanding crafting, or any particular thoughts on expanding crafting?
I think he, in the guy's post, he kind of underrated how much stuff there is in crafting in the game at the moment. But one thing that he did say was just talking about more account-bound stuff. And I don't know how I feel about that. There's something that they've really tried to steer away from in Diablo 3, and I'm a little bit torn on whether I think that's a good idea or not.
I had the idea of account-bound stuff. It just feels blah to me. It feels
it feels blah.
A redundant piece of the game. It's like, I want everything to be a part of the actual economic system.
Yep.
And it should just work. If it doesn't work, then a fix. It seems like such a shoddy fix to just make things account-bound or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
I understand why it's necessary in WoW, but I don't. Yeah, I think it should. I think they're good to avoid it in Diablo 3. As for expanding on crafting, I think more syncs for things, like where you can maybe sync gems, some sort of gem sync, where you can combine them together, or maybe more gem options and things like that, or jewels, something to do with similar to jewels from Diablo 2, where they have randomized abilities, and maybe those abilities could be really interesting, sort of like some of the stuff we might see on legendaries.
Yep.
So
you just had your coaster stick to your...
there.
Did you just have your coaster stick from your glass then, Highlander?
Oh, yeah, it's a napkin. I folded up to make a coaster.
You have to be the star, don't you, man?
Sorry, I cut you off there.
Incidental.
Ziggy.
That's alright, I was done anyway.
Okay, cool.
Trumped by a makeshift coaster.
Number 5, free roam mode. So we pretty much already talked about this, but
the way it is now, it does sort of make you, like, even just the fact that you're stuck to an act is one different from Diablo 2, and 2, I don't know, like it right now the way it is, it encourages you to. One thing that would be so simple for them to do would be allow you to maintain your Nephilim Valor stack across acts. If you complete an act and you get to the next act organically, you should maintain your stack. Yeah. I don't know why that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't know why that... I thought that was the case when I first started, and then the first time I did it, I got to like Act 2, and I'm like, what happened to my stacks?
Yeah.
And whoever I was playing with at the time explained it, and I'm like, that's retarded.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't think anyone would do it, really. Like, I can't imagine it would be efficient. Like, the start of Act 2 is so slow. Like, unless you're going from Act 3 to 4, that's probably the only thing that kind of makes any sense. Just because you've got a bit of a good start to Act 4, and Act 4 gets kind of efficient relatively quickly. But yeah, like, generally speaking, it makes no sense to me.
Link to the ideas thread. I can.
I got it.
Oh.
Beat you to it.
Son of a bee. Anything else on free roam mode? Ziggy?
No, but just... Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny that it's not. Like, I feel like they must have gotten really caught up in the way they were designing the way that you get into the story mode and all of the different missions and dividing it all up like that. And then they sort of just... In the end, it ended up like that, and they were like, it's a bit different to Diablo 2, but we think it's cool. Yeah. And then just ship it like that, but yeah. It's a
I
bit
mean, the
weird.
way it's structured now is a lot better than it was in Diablo 2 in some respects. Like when you, if you'd beaten these quests, then if you created a game, those quests were beat.
Mm-hmm.
That that sucked. The current system is way better than that.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Cool. Number 6 is hardcore duels. Now, this is it's a bit of an odd one because I understand why dueling is like not in the game yet because they're putting PvP in the game, and they want it to be a certain way, and they want, they don't really. I mean, I can understand from their point of view that they're putting it in, so they're not thinking about trying to enable PvP in a dueling sense when they're putting this whole big PvP mode with arena and everything into the game. So I can understand why it's not in the game yet. But on the flip side to that, um, I did read a post on the Diablo forums with a guy that was basically saying, Blizzard, stop like pigeonholing the way you want me to play the game. And he was basically saying, let us have fun playing it the way we want to play it, because they're really, how do I explain this, like, making you play the game a certain way. And he was saying that, he'd prefer it not to be that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes
it,
perfect
it
sense.
makes a lot of sense, and I think Blizzard, oh well, some of the devs have almost agreed to that themselves because there was mention of after they did some really heavy-handed item changes that they didn't they wanted to actually avoid that in the future. Like I feel like they are being a bit too, a bit too heavy-handed with their baby. Like they want to keep it to what they think. But in the end, you have to let it grow with the community and out of what the community wants, and let
Yep.
people develop. Yeah, let the game develop around the community. But
Mm-hmm.
so when they said that they didn't want to do any after it was pretty much after the IAS change,
Mm-hmm.
where they said they wanted to avoid doing that again, and that's why they haven't changed Natalia's
Yep.
since then. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, pigeonholing. Yeah, that's
Yeah, because I
forget
guess
where I was going with.
a lot of the a lot of the fun, in the game comes from finding ways to play it that are unusual, I guess. But they're sort of making it so like, you know, a certain way that you can only play it like a certain way, and it's like, no, you can't do dueling because we're putting in this arena mode, and that's how you PvP. If you want to PvP, you PvP in arena. Um, it takes a lot of that sandboxy kind ofness out of the game and makes it very linear. And that's what he was saying in that post, and this just reminded me of that. So
I'm a big fan of giving people cool mechanics and let them figure out their own game. Some of the best games have arisen out of that sort of thing.
yeah, definitely.
And I think Diablo has a lot of potential for that too, just because there's so many cool mechanics in the game and there's so much potential for people to find their own fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
So just enabling people to figure it out themselves and not worrying too much about, the game's supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
But in terms of this actual hardcore duels and things like that, they're not doing 1v1 from my understanding in PvP, even in softcore, which maybe it's a sort of a balance thing, or maybe it is just more pigeonholing. But I think there should at least definitely be 1v1 in there. And then I'm a fan of the idea of hardcore PvP matches too, because that makes a really big end game for hardcore where you're losing characters really quickly, and having these not system defined leagues when people are losing characters and rebuilding their roster of characters to take into the arena and things like that.
Yep.
That just builds so much more gameplay into it.
Yep.
It'd be really cool. And even the community can set their own arbitrary level caps, like level 30 duels, and
Yep.
you have to try and get your characters and stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see how they can not think that it's a good idea. Sorry, Highlander, have you got anything to add on there? You haven't. Look like you're bursting to say something.
Maybe
What are your thoughts on?
yeah, I was really frustrated in during development when you'd have all these interviews where Jay Wilson's always saying, like, "Yeah, I really want to have this hardcore mode, a hardcore PvP mode. I just don't know how to do it. Just don't know how to put it in there." And so I made about 45 forum posts along the lines of, all you got to do is make like a cave somewhere, and when you get into the cave, some guy gives you a warning and says, "No, this cave's not like everywhere else. There's some crazy ass magic down here, and if you don't see Darth Vader down here, then you'll at least see like all your alliances, are dissolved, and anyone can kill anyone, and anything can happen." And then you go in, and holy shit, you've got a PvP place where anyone can do whatever they damn well feel like. All you need to do is make people enter from a different angle, and voila, like it would not be that hard to program, and you've got it, you've done it, and you've coincidentally implemented hardcore PvP, set level PvP, PvP between friends that's not on the ladder. Like you've instantly done everything because we can do whatever we want in there.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought was just the most interesting in Diablo 2 was people who would level to level 13, and then there was a whole thing about playing dueling at level 13. I think I've got my level right. And it was just, that was so cool. I just thought that was a great idea that people found it more fun to duel at level 13 than to duel at level infinite, a level up to 99. And that was so cool. And that was what a lot of people did. But we can't do that if the system is set and we are forced to play as 4 players, and we can't play against whoever we want, but we have to play against what the ladder has matched us against.
Yeah.
It's so daft. And just for them to say like, "Oh yeah, this is something we want to do, we just haven't worked out a good way to do it yet," just doesn't make any sense to me. They always do these things that just don't seem to make any sense.
Yeah.
Be so easy. And this guy's got the comment about spectating, which is also really important in my opinion. The only thing that he did mention in his one was that it'd be cool to have betting in there, which would be definitely very, very cool. The only problem with betting is that they'll never do it because they've got the real money auction house attached, and there's no way they're going to have like gambling with a real money auction house attached.
Yeah.
That's just never going to happen.
That crosses some legal issues in Asia, especially.
Yeah. Oh, it's a nightmare everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden you've got like freaking dog fights going on. It's not going to be good.
It'd be fun, but
yeah.
but
We'll
just have to
but yeah,
stick to
it's
black market.
exactly like you were saying with the sandboxing stuff. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get some cool stuff like that. I mean, just a PvP hardcore 1v1, like, gladiator style would just be the best thing to watch on Twitch TV. I mean, that'd just be awesome.
Oh, it'd be so exciting when you have a hero that keeps winning every season, and then you're like, are they going to take him down this time?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so good.
And the counter argument just doesn't make any sense. If you give us a bit of freedom, for example, they said we can't have 1 versus 1 because it won't be balanced. The barb will always kill the wizard, or vice versa. And hang on a second, wait. If you let us do whatever we want, sometimes maybe we'll just have a barb league, and we'll have a monk league, and we'll have a wizard league, and they'll all be, barb versus barb and 1 versus 1s, and it will be balanced.
Yeah,
because we'll balance it ourselves, because we're that smart, and we can just do whatever we want now, because you didn't restrain us.
Yeah.
Yeah, people figure out their own balance eventually, even if that balance is just not playing a certain race or character.
Yeah.
That's eventually what balance usually ends up becoming. Yeah, it was like that in War 2. War 2 was definitely like that, and War 3 was pretty like that too as well.
Yeah.
From my understanding.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of funny how they would use a balance thing as an excuse, because they've said that, they're not trying to make it an esport, therefore they're not that worried about the balance thing, right? So it's kind of, it's an odd thing to use as an excuse. Anyway, number 7 is Insane Mode. This was basically a mode where every single mob, like every single monster in the game, would have one random affix. So, you might get a pack where one teleports and one has Molten and one has Arcane and one has shielding or something else. That would be interesting. I'm not sure how that would work. You're essentially fighting a mob that have like 6 affixes. Thoughts on that one? Anyone?
It's a cool
I would
idea.
Sorry.
Okay.
Highlander?
Sorry, did I get picked?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, it's a cool idea. I can't really see how it would be implemented that just wouldn't be more complicated than it's worth.
Yeah, it's quite complicated.
It's a cool idea, though, and these are the cool ideas that people come up with.
Yep.
And should be considered.
Mm-hmm.
All I
Anything
know
else
is that
to
I'd never see it in hardcore mode.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Even with a vulnerable minion. Yeah, I think they might have to pick some of the affixes. It wouldn't be practical.
Yeah. Cool. And the last one is champion levels. Now these are essentially like post level 60 levels, so I suppose you'd have like, you know, I guess there's lots of ways they could do it, but I suppose they could have a similar thing like where it's, you know, you're a level 60 guardian and then, you know, give them different names. I think
Stage ranks.
most people have heard of this idea before.
Sorry.
What do you think on the champion levels thing? We'll start with you this time, Ziggy.
I think it's sad. Well, initially, I didn't have a problem with the fact that there was a level 60 level cap because I figured there's going to be plenty of draw to continuing on with your character then. But then I kind of realized that it is actually pretty disappointing to just stop leveling, and it makes it completely useless killing those white mobs and things like that. And I don't know. Yeah, it would be nice to have something progressing towards something, and even if it is only prestige levels that don't actually mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan of just having them in there and they don't actually say anything. It could just be like look at me, I'm prestige level 80.
Yeah.
Basically Call of Duty style or whatever. But because I was looking at Path of Exile and it has a level cap of 100, which is like virtually unattainable. It would take forever to get there. It's like Diablo's level 99 or whatever it was, or level 90. What was Diablo 2's cap? 90? 99?
99.
99. Yeah. So it's like virtually impossible to get to that without some ridiculous investment. So I think it's nice to have something that it's like a soft level cap of beyond this point it gets impractical, but you're still actually doing something.
Yep. Yeah. Just another, thing to keep you going. Cool. Anything else to add to that, Highlander?
Yeah, similar to ZiggyD. I think it's a good idea. I think a lot of people have been saying I need something, something where you still feel good, you still have a positive feeling, even if you didn't find anything on an item run that was worth anything at all. He did have some cool ideas for something about the champion packs. Sorry, not champion packs, the champion levels.
Yep.
So, for like some of those little incremental benefits that you get out of leveling that aren't huge. He had like a faster town portal, faster identifying casting, or maybe mass identify. That's me checking that on.
Yep.
I think a lot of people would really like that. Repair cost discount, shorter respawn timer, start new games with the Nephilim Valor stack off the bat.
Yeah.
Allow more than one follower to tag along, which would be so cool. Or have a special place where you get like all your followers. That would be really cool. An unlimited healing potion. Helper picks up gold for you, or like they had in the beta where you get the scroll of dude that picks up gold for you.
That was a thing?
It's like a chicken or something.
Yeah, it could be anything. Like you check out the graphics for them. Like just I don't know where you can find them. Google.
It was like a scroll of companion or something.
Scroll of companion.
Or companion.
Very good.
Something.
Yeah, and you could get like all sorts of things. Like you could get like a little spider or a little snake or something, and they just work like the Demon Hunter's companion ferret. It worked exactly the same. I don't know if they triggered goblins or could aggro goblins, but anyway. So to be able to get that at a certain champion level would be cool. Access your stash from anywhere, salvage stuff from anywhere, vendor stuff from anywhere, which again were things that were in the beta, early beta. Monster affixes visually indicated above their head. I don't really get that. But some other like vanity effects and
Definitely
cooldowns and
vanity
stuff.
effects, I think, would be a
Yeah.
great one to put in there.
Yeah,
Like your
I
your
totally
character
think that's
begins
cool.
to glow.
I want some
That'd be
badass
cool.
red wings or something.
Yeah.
Sick of you guys with your collector's edition wings, Pat. Highlander.
Anyway,
Like
I
give
thought they
every
were
mob.
cool ideas,
That'd be cool.
and I think you'd need like some sort of practical component. Like a lot of those are like have a really negligible improvement on gameplay. I think you'd need some sort of like improvement on gameplay. Like it could just be, um, +1 to your core stat per level, and maybe or +2 to your core stat, +1 to vitality, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Even that's maybe too strong. Maybe it's like every alternate level you get that.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
It seems like you get the level cap way too quickly, and considering there's no league or season changes, your character's level 60 forever, and then you've done the game
Yeah.
probably on all 5 characters within a couple months.
Yeah.
The average person could do that within a couple months. And that's it for leveling, that's your leveling experience done, unless you're going to go play hardcore over and over again, which not everyone wants to do.
Yep.
Or so I hear.
The only downside with something like that is it would exacerbate the feeling that the game begins at 60,
Yeah.
which I really kind of feel, and I've seen commented on before. That's not a unique thought, but yeah, it does really feel like the game begins at 60, and all the best items are all level 60, and you can't access Inferno until you're 60, all that stuff. So
Yep.
it would exacerbate that feeling a little bit,
Yep.
but I think it'd do more good than harm.
Yep. Something to think about.
Something for Blizzard to think about.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll go on to the next section, which is talking about the auction house. So, do you want to take that, Highlander? Have you got some things to talk about?
Yeah. I just thought it's just been interesting, just talking about or thinking about how the market's been working. So it's been a bit of a case of the gold price has kind of stabilized somewhat, but just watching some things like Fiery Brimstone looks like it's calmed down somewhat, because if for those of you who weren't watching or paying attention, Fiery Brimstone is what you get when you salvage a Inferno level unique, so I level 61, 2 or 3 unique, or I level 60 jewelry unique. So if you salvage it, you'd get a Fiery Brimstone, and they were in they had this period where they were just like going crazy in terms of price.
Yep.
And there was 2 things that were driving that. There was one, there was a couple of recipes where you could use Fiery Brimstone to get stuff that was selling pretty well. And there's a couple of recipes that were working along those lines. And then the other factor that was sort of driving it was this expectation that this patch is coming soon that's going to have this buff to legendaries. So you're going to be able to craft, or hopefully the craftable legendaries will get a buff. And as such, Fiery Brimstones will be really valuable. So yeah, it was interesting to watch that, and it was getting up into the 280s or something in terms 280,000 gold at one point from what I saw, but now it's back down to about 147k, and it was over 200 for ages. So it looks like that speculation sort of come down, or people people just don't know when this patch is going to come, or if it's going to be good. So I don't know exactly what's driving that. Might be the price of some of those crafted recipes or the results of those crafted recipes aren't providing as much value as they used to as well.
Yep.
Which kind of ties into the other thing that I've sort of noticed in the marketplace lately, which is, again, not a unique observation, that gold's become a little bit more stable, but mid and low level items have just continued to deflate, and so it's really only those like top tier, likely going to be best in slot or very near to sort of items So those best in slot items, they're not devaluing at all, whereas like all those mid-level items are just going through the floor. Because there's no value in an item that you're not going to use, and everyone's view is so good now that stuff that not long after release used to be like amazing god items, and now people can't sell them. They list them for 4,000 gold. They can't sell them.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just interesting to see that function and to think about how that's going to lead the game going forward.
Yep. Okay.
Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I've been watching someone who's been doing like crafting long term, and I've read a few posts about people doing crafting, and it's very, very niche, the people that can actually do it, because you really need to do it high volume to get any sort of returns on it. Like, it's not something you can just craft 5 of, because you're only going to make a loss on average from that. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, there was a real good post I read on Reddit recently that was about a guy doing some high level 6 prop crafting and stuff like that. And I think when the patch rolls around, we should see another up spike and those sorts of things. I don't know, I think the legendary patch is going to be very good. I think they've taken the criticism on board, so it'll be interesting to see how things go from that. I'll just be watching passively as I usually do.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll never know till it happens.
Are we going to do segments?
Yeah, sure.
Cool, because I had an actual segment thing. I had somebody ask me a question, so we need to play my music, my sound.
Hopefully this is the
ready?
right one.
All right. Hope you haven't like rigged it with some fart noise or something.
No, I haven't. Okay, you can go.
All right, it's happening.
Yep.
It's over.
That was
Go,
very
go,
professional.
It's done.
Okay. I'm going. Oh my god. No, I had somebody ask me the question about what's the best time of day to sell stuff, and it's a tricky question, and it's perhaps a little bit hard to track as well, being in Australia. For me, I think it sort of depends on what you're selling, and really just more about your personal circumstances more than anything else. So I can log in for short periods of time fairly often. It's really hard for me to actually get a decent time in front of the computer though. So for me, I'm typically able to take advantage of those, 36-hour periods of something being on the market, of something's, so I can price things a little bit higher as a result, and I'm not looking for stuff to trade right away. If that wasn't the case, if you're playing a lot and you got a lot of items coming through, then don't worry about the time of day. Just get it out of your inventory and just, clear up your slots so you can sell more stuff. And if you're doing a lot of farming, that's what you want to do.
Yep.
But if if you've got like a god item or something that you really want to try and get the best price for, then I think if you're using the real money auction house, then really the best time is trying to find like a peak period, and especially for the real money auction house, because it's going to be really more casual players that are buying your stuff. Trying to look for what would be about Friday night in the US, which is about lunchtime on Saturday for us.
Right.
Or a little bit before lunch. So I think that's sort of the ideal time for those real money auction house type stuff. And then when to buy items, generally speaking, the point of view is, try and buy in off-peak times. So just whenever it's quietest, which is probably about our on-peak times, actually.
Yep.
So, early evening type stuff. And that's just because when it's off-peak, there's fewer people to snap up those bargains when they come through, so you're more likely to spot a bargain.
Yep. Okay.
And that's about it. It's pretty much that simple. But I wouldn't get too stressed about trying to find the optimal times to buy and sell. The more important thing is to, actually move your inventory, move your stock. And if you've got stuff that's actually a god item and on the real money auction house, don't wait 4 days to sell it, because unless it's an absolute god item, they're probably devaluing over those 4 days while you wait to find that optimal time. You'll do yourself more harm.
An interesting point to touch on there, because if you do have something that is pretty much best in slot, that's going to be the only thing in the game that's actually going to increase in value or stay the same.
It's still going to decrease in relative value, because there will just become more best in slots.
Right.
They're not going anywhere.
It's a good way to counteract inflation.
Yeah,
is by having holding best in slot stuff. Because I know a lot of the players that sort of like leaving, like Kriparian and stuff like that, are leaving the game for a little while, spent all their money on just getting the best stuff they could just to sit in their inventories. So when they come back, they've
yeah,
still got some bank.
yeah, and I'd argue that certainly like for those people that can't afford those god items, I'd just stick it in the real money auction house. Just stick it in US dollars.
Yeah, yeah. That's another
Jeez,
good way to counteract inflation, isn't it? With
exactly.
real
And as
money.
long as the US dollar holds up, which is not necessarily a given, but,
It's not a
you know,
100% safe method.
Yep. So, just a question from Mr. Pink Boots. Highlander, did you sell and buy back your gear a week later? And if so, did it work?
yeah, I sold my weapon right away, and yeah, it's worked. As in, I could replace it anytime I want, but I haven't actually replaced it because I haven't had any time to have a proper session. And I've got a couple of weapons that are like okay. So if I thought I was only going to be able to play for 20, 30 minutes, then I'd just use them. But yeah, the weapon I had was 1132 DPS, stored no other stats, pure DPS, and I sold that for like $24. And now I could rebuy that back for. I checked it at lunch. Could buy that back for, drum roll please, about $10.
Right.
Probably
Nice.
like $11. So
It's very
that's
So
clever.
2
you could
weeks.
buy like a 1200 DPS weapon then with the same money or better.
Yeah, exactly. With some like bit of plus
If you've got like,
intelligence or something.
yeah.
Now,
Nice.
the good thing about the pure DPS weapon was it's super easy to sell because it's super easy to value the market because it's got no confounders. It's just DPS. You can sort by DPS. It's super easy. Whereas I've got some gloves that I think are fantastic, but they've got really good stats, but they're not necessarily the perfect stats you want for gloves. So, for example, they've got like a really high chance to stun. They've got like a 4.9% chance to stun, and they've got like plus 200 intelligence and stuff like that. But because you can only search 3 stats, they're not easily comparable. No one's actually looking for them. So I've
Yep.
got them listed, keep listing them fairly high, but no one's buying them, and I'm not surprised.
Yep.
So it makes it harder in that sense when you've got things that are good, but they aren't in the stats that people are searching for, the 3 stats that people are searching for.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. Cool. So there's that's pretty much it, I guess. That's pretty much all we
I
have
have a
to talk
hardcore
about.
tip. My
Oh
hardcore
yeah.
tip.
Okay. All right. All right. You can do a hardcore tip.
All right. You're
Well,
gonna
help,
flash on
please.
a little JPEG thing
Yep.
just for funsies.
There we go.
Hey, there we go. All right. So, in keeping with last week's theme, where I talked about something super basic, beginner level, this is another one aimed at beginners to hardcore, people who are just getting into hardcore. Which I don't know. I feel like a fair few people might be crossing over to hardcore now. Go hard or go home. That's pretty much it from the chat. But this one's actually ring and amulet arbitrage from vendors. People did this for a little while when the game first came out, and it was actually viable to do in softcore. But that sort of the market quickly flooded because that's what softcore market tends to do. And you can still arbitrage rings and amulets from the vendors to make a bit of money in softcore, but it's really not worth doing. There's so much more efficient ways to do it. But in hardcore, it all comes down to risk versus reward, and if you can find a way to get some safe money to improve your characters that has absolutely no risk to it, then you should probably take advantage of that as much as you can, especially when you're first starting out. So, plus damage rings with either plus experience, plus crit chance, or plus increased attack speed as a secondary stat are probably the highest demand items in hardcore mode. You have people lowest levels dying constantly, and what was it? The vast majority of hardcore players die in Act One normal,
Right. Yeah.
something like that. So, pretty much that's the best way to twink out a low level character. So they're in huge demand. So pretty much I'll just rattle off a few examples here. I've actually got a spreadsheet I've been
Mhm.
building for it.
Ah,
Um, anything below level 16 is pretty good. So these level 16, 3 to 6 plus damage rings with 4 IAS. They cost 3,200 a vendor, and they auction house for around 9 grand. So that's like an easy 4 and a bit K with no
jeez.
risk on it. So, it's like, it's not that much money when you're in Nightmare Hell or whatever, but it's 100% safe and guaranteed profit, and it's an easy way to kit out your character. I
Yep.
kitted out a demon hunter with some really sick gear before I lost it stupidly going for a goblin, but it was it was completely risk free profiteering. So really easy. Just whenever you come across a ring with plus damage and a good second stat, so your experience or crit or whatever,
Mhm.
just spend all your money on it because they sell like hotcakes. There's hardly any on there. You can sort of work out the price points by seeing what ones are currently in the auction house and going, a little bit below that sort of thing.
Yep.
But usually, going somewhere between 20 and 25% over the vendor price is good.
Yep. Cool. It's very good tips there.
I had fun with that one.
Yep. Cool. Um, anything else to mention? Is there anything else you guys wanted to mention about Diablo?
Just in passing, there's a wizard bug that's on the loose at the
Oh
moment.
yeah, of course. How does that work?
Okay, so basically, it's only just been found today, or at least made public today, on whose stream was it on? Someone named Chango. I'm not sure who they are. But basically, if you get teleport with the fracture rune and Archon, then you hover your mouse cursor over your character, teleport. So you teleport right on top of yourself, and then instantly hit Archon, and your character actually goes invincible. It doesn't say for how long, so I think it's actually permanent.
Yep.
Like maybe until you zone out or something like that, go to a different act or a different part of the game.
Freaking
But
God mode.
percent God mode invincibility. So, if you have a high level wizard that can get the fracture and teleport and Archon and everything, which I don't even think you need to be level 60 for that, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's Act for Inferno or something
Mhm.
before they, which will probably be tomorrow or something.
Yep.
Hmm.
Tomorrow night for us.
Yep.
Got at least a good 24 hours of exploits, having fun.
Yeah. Too bad I don't have a wizard that high.
Hmm.
That sucks. Oh well.
Like,
Um, what was that? I missed it. Say it again. Oh, say it again.
all my characters die.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, for some reason it didn't come through exactly as you said that at the same time. Yes. Cool. With that, I think that's about it. But before we close up, a new segment that'll hopefully be short-lived. The segment is called "What are you playing until Diablo 3 becomes fun again?" So I'd imagine for Highlander, you're probably just playing family, like
The
mums and
game of
dads.
life.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I'm sure it's
No,
very rewarding. Okay.
I'm playing Diablo 3 while I wait for Diablo 3 to get better.
Cool. No,
Um,
you're
yeah.
playing the auction house simulator until you wait for the game to get better.
True.
Yeah. What about you, Ziggy?
Well, as I said last week, the summer Steam sales went crazy, and I've been playing heaps of indie games. But I've also been taking a look at Path of Exile, which I'm sure most people have heard of by now. But there's a good chance some people have heard of it since it's an indie game. But
Yep.
it's basically like Diablo 2, and then rebuilt up with its own heaps of unique mechanics. It looks very interesting. It's got really flexible and in-depth passive skill tree and skills and things like that, and socketing gems with abilities and things like that. So I
Yep.
might. It's in closed beta at the moment, but you can donate to the devs like a starter thing, like $10 or something like that, and get a key for the beta. There's actually an open beta this weekend, so if you want to try it out, go to the site. It's just pathofexile.com.
Mhm.
Looks very interesting.
Yeah, that should be interesting. I'll have to check that out. Definitely. The skill tree looks really interesting. Um, Do you need to jump off Highlander? You can just jump off. Just don't close the call. That'd be fine.
like I usually do.
Yeah, or don't hang up at all. Just leave it on if you can.
All right. Yeah, no worries. No, that's fine. I'll do that. Before I go, I just wanted to mention one thing that for us Australians, the Blizzard are hosting the what was it? The World Championship Series on the 11th of 12th of August. So whilst it will be entirely StarCraft based, and we're not talking about StarCraft generally, if you want to support Blizzard endeavours in Australia, if you want to support esports in Australia or gaming in Australia in general, then just make sure you check out the streams that will be on that day. We'll put some in the links below, perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
And just so that people can watch the streams. Apparently, tickets sold out in 11 or 12 minutes today for it. So it's going to be pretty big, and they've got some huge international casters that are coming down from some from Korea, some from the US.
Yep.
So yeah, big names in esports, and it's a huge event for gaming in Australia. So I just wanted to plug that a little bit.
Yeah, and we're going to be there. So if you got tickets, come say hi.
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
Cool.
All right, I gotta go.
All right. See ya.
Just
I'll be back to kill stuff later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just emphasizing what's happening. Yeah, like get on the stream, and if you have multiple IPs or whatever, open that up on every one of them, because we want as many viewers as we can get. If we can blow, I reckon we have a good chance to blow some of the US tournament viewers, the spectatorship out of the water, and that's going to really impress the global audience. Like, really good chance for SEA, the Australian scene, to really break out into the national and show them that we actually have something to offer the world of esports. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, and I think all of the barcrafts here have exceeded expectations, so there's definitely some interest in that sort of content here. So that should be good. But yes, in terms of what I've been playing while I'm, waiting for more patches and that sort of thing to happen, been playing a bit of League of Legends because that's always fun. I bought Arma 2 on the Steam sale to check out DayZ, and I've tried to play it today, and it took me a while to get it working. It's a bit buggy, but I kind of couldn't really work out what I was doing. It was nighttime, and I couldn't see much, and I walked around, and I accidentally threw a flare, and then all these zombies found me and killed me. Then I started again, and and then I ended up finding like a handgun, but I didn't want to actually shoot it to attract zombies, and I didn't really know what I was doing, so...
The game's on a 24-hour clock, so if you log in the night, it's going to be night for like the next few hours.
Yeah, well, it wasn't night, but I think it was because I just logged into a server that was set on a different time, because I think people want to play during the day, like later on or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it seems fun, but I don't know what I'm doing, so...
Yeah, a pretty hardcore game.
So I guess that's about it for us.
Don't worry, though, guys. We're still going to play Diablo. I'm still playing Diablo.
Don't worry, I will be playing Diablo. Yeah. So if you want to catch us, you'll be able to see the videos that we put up on YouTube at youtube.com/Diabloherald. We stream the podcast every Monday night at Twitch TV/Diabloherald. You can follow me on Twitter at Diabloherald, and if you have any questions, you can ask me through there, or any suggestions on, things to talk about on the show and that sort of thing. I'll be happy to hear them. And Highlander has a YouTube channel if you want to.
Do you want to tell us about that, Highlander?
I think it's mostly StarCraft related. Oh no, it's StarCraft and Diablo related, but a lot
achievements.
of achievement.
It's all about the achievement
stuff. Yeah. So if you want to check that out, it's at youtube.com/ScottishMoo. But I'll put the link.
He did change it, did he?
I always put the links in anyway. And I think it's at Highlander SC on Twitter.
Yep, that's right.
And
shout outs for him.
do you want to tell us about your stuff, Ziggy.
Yep. I'm ZiggyD StarCraft on Twitter and YouTube. On YouTube, I upload Diablo 3 news and discussions and guides and things like that, especially hardcore tips and stuff like that. I might be doing some Path of Exile content in the future and other strategy games, so I might do some StarCraft stuff again. I also have another channel, RL ZiggyD, on YouTube, where I do more general gaming content, variety gaming and stuff like that. So check those out.
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.
See yous.